6 o'clock, folks, so we'll start the meeting. Call it to order. The first item on the agenda, I think Mike must still be in legislative session that was on today, so I got an idea they haven't closed up yet. Welcome to everybody. First item on the agenda is consider approving the minutes of the April 28th meeting and sign the warrant.
I would move that we approve the minutes with the exception of item number 1. After it says that Mike Perkins was absent, it says that he presented the award.
Yeah, I saw that.
But Dana and I talked about it. I mean, you did such a good job seeing that.
Yeah, sure.
Jen said
With that change, I
Jen said she would correct that.
It was changed.
All those in
Thank
favor?
you.
Item 2, the 2018-2019 personal property abatement and the assessor, and we have Jimmy here.
Yes, hi everybody. Okay, so we have a resident in town that runs a little enterprise on the lake, and so we've been charging him personal property tax on that boat for many years, and I recently found out that because he's paying excise tax on it, can't charge him personal property tax to this double taxation. So part of this bulletin says that the error or illegal may be corrected, and that the assessor or by municipal officers on their own initiative can rebate, give him back 2 years of the taxes that he paid. So that's what we're here for tonight on that, is for you to authorize the payment back to him for the 2 years, and then I've already done my year, so he's getting back 3 years of.
So that's a total of $229.60. Yep.
From you folks, and then I had one also.
Just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
I don't know who this is, or I didn't look at it. What's the difference between the excise tax and the personal property or business property tax?
A lot. We were charging him on the base price of the boat, or what he paid for it. I mean, he brought in the boat motor and trailer receipt, and that's what we were charging him on. And now all of a sudden he got another boat trailer, but I think he kept the old motor, however it worked. Anyway, so I thought, well, we've got a Betty program where if you're replacing your equipment, then you can sign up for Betty and have that reimbursed. So I called the state and said, I got this guy, and they said, oh, you can't do that. And you shouldn't be taxing him anyway because he's paying excise tax. And he gets a good deal because it's a commercial rate. So on the commercial excise, he pays $30, did you tell me? And we were charging him for whatever it says there, 114 a year. So he needed to get his money back.
So he gets a better deal with the excise tax than you would with
Oh, definitely.
the property
Yeah.
tax.
Yeah.
Is he aware that he's getting his money back?
Yes. Yeah, I've spoken to him a couple of times. Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
Okay, good.
I need a motion.
We need
And
a
Oh,
motion
sorry.
and
I make a motion, we reimburse the individual money.
moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Jenny actually has another project. to talk
Yeah,
about.
he was going to have me come in on June 9th, and I thought, well, maybe I can do them both tonight. I got my report card from the Maine Revenue Services, and it's called the Report of Assessment Review. And so I came before you last year and explained to you about our quality of rating and our assessment ratio to market, what we're at, and what we can certify with the state. On the top, under municipality, I have the 2017 percentage rating that we were at, which was 99%. That the very next year it went down to 93. We're still able to certify 100%, which means we get 100% reimbursement for homestead and veterans and all of those other programs. The next year it went down 2 points to 91%, and this year we're down to 89, which means we're coming very close to not being able to certify 100%. And it's basically because of, I can't build a brand new house with the cost schedule that we've got and come up with today's prices. So we're starting to get that separation there. We're lucky that, yes, this year we will be able to still certify 100%, but it's going to get to the point where they're going to tell us we have to adjust our exemptions. So instead of getting 25,000 for a homestead, we'd have to adjust it by the certified ratio. So.
And what this basically means is we're getting very close to where we're going to have to start considering the rebound. I mean, this is happening all over the place.
Yeah.
I talked to Michelle over in Fairfield. They weren't able to certify it 100% this year. And the problem is the cost of these homes going up so fast. And, you know, and everybody gets frightful over a reevaluation. But the thing is, not everybody sees property tax increase on it. You know, you're going to find some properties that are going to take an increase, but with the lower mill rate that this is going to produce, a lot of your in-town properties and stuff like that are actually going to see a reduction in their taxes. The other problem with that is the cost of the revaluation. I mean, we're looking at $300,000 to do that. But people are going to start paying the price. If we can't certify it 100%, you're going to start seeing a reduction in homestead exemption, so they're going to start seeing higher taxes that way. So it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other, how this thing goes.
The cost schedules at a revaluation get adjusted. We're using 1996 prices right now. You can't build a house today on what building material cost in 1996. You just can't do it. So when I say I'm trying to build a house with the cost schedule, I have to put all the components in the computer to try to come up with a value for that house. And with the cost schedule that I'm working with right now, I just can't do it.
The same house built this year compared to last year would be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
The way lumber's going up.
Well, and you know, in my profession, we talk about the bubble, you know, like we had years ago.
Yeah.
And then the bubble burst, and then prices came down again. Well, so they've been weighing things, and they're saying that then they don't think that it's a bubble. They think that it's here to stay. And with, yeah, I know. And with us, you know, trying to keep up with things with the 1996 cost schedule, it just isn't working. So I just wanted to make you aware that that was my report card from the state.
And she's still got 100%, so we're good for this year. Who knows what next year is going to bring us?
Yeah, the sale prices are just off the charts. I mean, I look at these things and I think, seriously, $550,000 for that house that was just there? Like, you know, you do the virtual walkthrough online, and yeah, it looks nice. They must have rented furniture. Doesn't look like anybody lives there. And I just can't get that kind of a price out of it. So.
The house just sold up off from Huzzy Hill Road. It was a double wide mobile home on a lot for $250,000. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you have a house in Oakland, you want to sell it, you're going to sell it today if you put it on the market. And it's going to be a bid more for it. I mean, I don't think there's a property for sale right now in Oakland. Everything is selling.
How much is this people within the state versus out of state is coming in to want to get out of the city?
Clara Watson's
this
place
COVID.
on Church Street, that great big house on Church Street just sold, and that was in-state people. You know, I mean, there are some out-of-state people. Jen was telling me that she hasn't seen this many out-of-state registrations on cars. I mean, people transferring over, so we do have out-of-state people coming into town.
Yeah, we sure do.
Any other questions from Jenny while she's here? Thank you, Mary.
Good job, Jen.
Keeping us up to date on that. Item 3, update on the downtown TIF district committee meeting.
Yeah, we've got a small committee that we put together. I mean, this is a project that we talked about last fall when Shannon Mueller came up and did a presentation for us. And so we kind of dragged it out because of COVID, not being able to get together as committee members that didn't get comfortable getting together. So we finally got it so we can all sit down. We've had 2 meetings. We've come up with a district. I was going to present that district to you tonight, but after talking with our attorney and sending a copy of the map, we may be revisiting that again. But so the process that I had kind of in my head how this was going to work was we're going to go and come up with a district, and we're going to put the rope around the properties that we wanted, and then get you to authorize that district, and then we're going to go back and put together another committee or the same committee and do a downtown business plan for that district. Apparently the way the process works is we do the plan and then come up with boundaries, so it's backwards from what I understood it. And the plan that we have, I talked with her on the phone after receiving this email from her that the DCD likes to see the downtown core and not a lot on the outside of it. And she said that, you know, depending on what kind of development plan would come for a downtown, we might be able to use that big chunk of land that we're looking at, but it's going to be a pretty extensive plan for the downtown. So I'm thinking we're going to back up just a little bit and take a look at this, and it's going to be a complicated process. There's more to it than just getting in and getting something ripped out. I have contacted Jonathan Donegan from Central Maine Growth Council because I want to bring it into the plan part and see if we can't use some of his expertise. And Bob or Don, do you have anything you'd like to add to that? Okay. That's all I have on that.
Thank you. Number 4, request for extension of license on premise Tree Spirits LLC.
Jan's here for that?
Must be a Jan.
So Mr. Olson brought this in, and it's exactly, he has actually mapped it out on the second page. New outside seating, so it's something that he has to have for the liquor commissions.
Excuse me, Dan, they're just applying for some outside seating?
Outside seating, yep, and there's a diagram on that back page that shows exactly what he's doing.
No history down there, Gary.
No. I mean, that place is, yeah, they don't have, all they have is wine tasting. You know, you can go in there for $5, you can get a glass of their wine, but they shut you right off after a couple.
So the neighbors that live near
Like
there,
you say, I've
will be
never
able to
been
walk
there.
and walk on the new property and
There you
sit
go.
down and have a drink before they go home?
Why not? Do I have a motion or a second to approve?
We have a second. 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 All those in favor? Is it just one page to sign, Jan? Usually I miss a page.
Nope, one page, very top page.
Right there, Jim.
Yep,
I'll pass it down and back around.
thank you.
Number 5, signing of the RSU 18 budget validation referendum warrants.
That one's a little bit more, there's 10 copies to have to sign, you want to wait and do those after, so
Yeah, why don't we wait
continue
till
with
the
the
end?
meeting, and then nobody leaves, and I'll get these signed by you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awarding of the 2021 wheel loader bid.
Yeah, so we set out to actually 3 different John Deere dealers. We want to stay with John Deere. We know how to work on them. He got good service operation out of Bangor, Nortrac, and 2 of them submitted bids. One of them was out of Massachusetts, Schmidt. They came in at $215,000, and John Deere out of Nortrac out of Bangor came in at $159,000 for the same machine. I mean, they're a great company, and this is the same machine as we currently have. They just changed the number on it. We had a 544, and then this is a 524.
The 55,000 difference in their
On
bid.
those 2 machines, I know.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Gary, what's the difference between the 524P and the 524? Is that just,
It should have been a 524P on the first one too. They're both the same machine. They're both spec'd out exactly the same
Right.
engine.
just want to make sure that wasn't the 60,000.
No,
One
no,
letter.
no. The 524P is the one we were looking for. And and they just put it down to 524.
We have a motion on,
Will we go with the Nortrac bid?
Yes.
moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Approved.
Thank you.
Award of the 2021 paving bid.
Okay, so there's a big difference in these bids as well. B&B Pavement came in at the lowest at $539,920. This is the largest paving project that we've done this year. And what this consists of is it consists of this year's funds. If you remember, we held off and not spent those because we didn't know where the budget was going to go. So we're going to spend those now. We're also going to include the First Park project, which is a $240,000 project. So plus this year's paving that we're planning on doing. So we had budgeted a lot of money between all these projects, and it's coming in considerably lower. I'm going to make a recommendation that we go with B&B. We have not used them yet. The reputation, they know what they're doing. It's a $27,000 difference between mainly paving and B&B paving. And I'm going to make a recommendation that we save the taxpayers $27,000 and go with B&B.
Do we have anybody that we know has used them before?
Yeah, Jeff has done his homework on them. Sydney's used them before. Sydney did have a little bit of a problem with them. But we're going to do some babysitting with them, find out how they're going to go. I put a man up there if we have to, to make sure it's done. And
Where are they out of?
Herman, Maine. And they've done work all around. I mean, they're not a fly-by-night operation that comes in and goes away. They've been around.
They probably buy their hot top right off Pike.
Oh, I'm sure they are. I mean, we've used mainly paving a lot. And they did most of the work around here. They're a good operation. Jeff and I kind of beat this up because I don't have an issue going up with the next highest person if you felt uncomfortable with B&B. But I really think that we ought to give them a chance. The thing is, if we do that, we're going to open up all kinds of problems. Company comes in $27,000 cheaper, and they're going to question why we didn't choose them. And then you could open up potential litigation on that. Even though we have it in the contract that states that we don't have to take the lowest one, it still can be a problem down the road for us. I say even if we had to put somebody there with it, I mean, we can shove them down halfway down through it if we have to, but I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Are the specs the same on all 3 projects?
Exactly the same.
So are we putting down complete 2-inch coats? Is it a skip coat?
Well, each road's going to have a little bit of difference. I mean, we look at the road. Some roads need to have an inch lift. They need to be skimmed and an inch lift. Some coats are going to get, some roads, I mean, First Park, we're going to put 2 inches down there because it's going to be heavy traffic on that road. So every road's different. The big difference is we budgeted for $70 a ton, $75 a ton, and B&B Pavement actually came in at $70 a ton, so it's $5 a ton cheaper, and there's a lot of tonnage that's going into this project, this stuff. There's 7,141 tons, there's a lot of pavement. So, it's In the 9.5, that's the size of the stones that are actually in the mix. It's more finish coat, and I mean, if you remember when we did all this stuff out here, we had the big rough coat, coarse coat at first, and then we put the finish coat on top of that after it settled for a year. And,
Are they foreseeing a price increase in making of the pavement?
there's going to be a price increase because as petroleum goes up, obviously that's a major factor on that. But we get locked into a contract, there's no wiggle room.
Yeah, as long as that's in there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Any other discussion?
Just a quick question. These roads that we're going to have done, I don't know which ones they are or not, but y'all do. I would recommend that if there's going to be culverts to be reset, or rocks that are coming up each year that are, you know, they probably settled back down now, but in the spring they'll probably be back up again in different places. You're going to take care of them first before we have it paved?
Well, we always take care of culverts. I mean, we go through and take care of all that stuff. We won't let them pave over something that, I mean, manhole covers have to be lifted. We have to do all that stuff. There's a lot of prep work with it, Ed, as you know.
Okay, yeah, and also, I know because we've been through this 100 times, and it seems like 2 weeks later we're digging up new pavement. Water lines and sewer lines, people have been notified that they can, that now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I can't answer that. This is something that Jeff takes care of. I don't, you
Is there
know,
any notification that goes out?
to let people that were paving their roads?
Yeah, well, I remember one year we put that out there, that they would be warned that if you have a project going on for a sewer line or a water line, now is the time to do it, because once it's paved, it's like, I think the state is, what, 3 years before
I
you...
thought it was 5, but I'm not sure.
Emergency.
I thought it was 5, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
It seems like every year that happens.
Right, yeah.
John?
It's a sizable contract, and contractor you've never used before. Is there any way to get out of that contract, written into it, if in fact you start to have serious trouble with them?
You know, I don't really think it's going to be an issue, but if they're not doing their job, we can, I mean, there's an escape clause in every contract. And, you know, I don't, they've been around.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, we might not have never used them before, but they've been around and they've been doing their job. You know, we know of one issue, and it resulted in a lawsuit, and the paving company won the lawsuit. So in other words, the community that hired them were the ones that screwed up on it.
Do we have a motion on that?
I make a motion we award it to B&B.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Funds for the Fatfield Street property.
Okay, you know, that was a huge win for the community for getting that passed at the town meeting. I just want to make sure that we all understand that those funds are coming out of the municipal property and building reserve fund that we currently have $439,000 in that. And there's going to be a small closing fee on that. We're splitting the closing fee, which is probably going to be around $950 or whatever that is. I'd like to take that out of the same fund. And if you're acceptable of that, I'd like to have a motion and
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion on that? I think we discussed that before during budget time, didn't we? All those in favor?
I just want to make it official.
Yeah. I think everybody understood that at budget time, what we were doing. Number 9, consideration of transferring $7,500 for paving the overlook parking lot.
Okay, so this is something new. And I've talked with a couple of you about this, and some of you haven't heard about this. The project's really looking nice, and we were talking about it yesterday. My fear with the gravel parking lot up there, you're going to get some young person in here who's going to do donuts in that gravel parking lot and make ruts, and we're going to end up having to take bulldozers and put it up there, and it's just going to be a problem. There's going to be a lot of dust up there. We've got this big contract coming in. We got a chance to buy this pavement at $70 a ton. I'm going to make a recommendation that we add a parking lot, a pavement to the top of that parking lot. If we pave it and we stripe it, it's not only going to look professional, it's going to last a long time. You know, we've got the community gardens going in up there. I'm going to propose at some point to put pickleball courts up there along with that. And the reason for that is because that's a growing activity for seniors. And there's just a handful around, and there's waiting line for people to get into them. We offer all this stuff for our younger people, but we don't offer a heck of a lot for seniors, and I think it would just kind of play into the whole project. So, open for discussion. If you don't feel comfortable with that, I understand that. I mean, most of the project up there has been done by donations. This would be an investment for the town. You know, it's probably the only place in the town of Oakland that we have a view. And I really think that everything we've done, we've tried to do a really good job. I don't think we have a set stint in that. And we get a lot of excitement, a lot of people out in the Smith Field. Go ahead.
Is that a firm price from somebody?
Say that again.
Is that a firm price?
That was Jeff measuring the parking lot, coming in here and us using $70 a ton for the pavement, putting a good base coat, solid coat on it. And we probably are a little bit high on that price, and probably lower than that, but I'd like to have the opportunity to spend $7,500 if I have to. And that includes the spray paint.
Where are we transferring that from?
Front Oakland.
Is there anything else in town that needs to be done that's more of a priority?
Not really. I mean, we've got fresh hot top everywhere. This whole project that we
All the sidewalks that people...
Well, we're going to be doing sidewalks this year.
This was all the ones that people have had issues with or had concerns with?
We're working on the Water Street sidewalks this year, and then next year we're going to start doing in-town sidewalks.
So what about the Fairfield Street sidewalk?
Fairfield Street sidewalk is not going to get done this year. That's probably going to be year after next.
Maybe our new company would like to donate this as a gesture of...
I don't think that. This is your decision. This is something that, you know, this is going to be the icing on the cake on that project up there. If you want to have a gravel parking lot, we can have a gravel parking lot. I just think that we have done everything to date professionally, and I think that this would look...
I think the hot top would be a great idea. It stops the erosion from the gravel, and it shows you where you're supposed to be driving, and it's easy to mark off where they can't drive, and let them drive where the hot top is and park where it is, and I think it'll look good. Pat?
I take issue with the sidewalks. We've got some sidewalks that are really need significant repair. Pleasant Street, school kids walking back and forth. That's uneven. You got to walk in the street if you don't have firm footing. You know, how many weeks a year are they going to use the parking lot? 10 weeks, 12 weeks? And you know, how often do people use the sidewalks? And if we're going to spend more money, you know, where's our usage going to come from? Is it going to be from a parking lot that looks really good, and I'm sure it'll look good, but are we getting the maximum usage out of our paving, out of our money by putting something where it looks good, which it probably will be developed into a nice place, or you know, that immediate need of, you know, we've got deteriorating, you know, that one stretch of deteriorating sidewalk is pretty significant. It's washboardy and it's coming up.
Is this going to be a park that's just for Oakland residents, or is this going to be open for anybody?
Oh, it's going to be open for anybody.
It's going to be open for everybody?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Right at the top of the High Street, when you pitch down the hill, that place on the left,
Yep, Gage Road, for that trailer and stuff.
just beyond the Gage Road.
Yes, exactly, where the trailer used to be.
Right. Did you buy the other piece of property that is just, you didn't?
No, that's going to be, they're putting something else in there.
There's no opportunity to divide that? I mean,
You mean
you're
the
not gonna have any
corner
control.
lot up there?
What's that?
The corner lot?
Yes.
Is that the one you're talking about? I've never thought about buying that for any reason. He was planning on putting some kind of storage units in there. And it's, Andy, the Knoll Electric. You see the electric company that's run around, he owns that.
Not going to be a chicken farm or anything like that?
No.
Not this week.
Not this one.
Any other discussion? No?
You know, I don't know the cost comparisons for sidewalks versus the parking area. But I guess one of the rationales for paving it would be, if we got to do something at least anyway, do we invest $3,000 into a gravel lot to come back in 5 years and pave it? If it makes sense to do it now because we've got to do something, it might still be a good investment. If there are other sidewalks that are in really dangerous condition, you know, we should look at those as a additional priority as we look at paving. This is coming in under budget with what we're doing. I don't know what those cost. Maybe we're going to have to amend and add some sidewalks to the total package.
So we put $20,000 into this paving budget for sidewalks.
Right.
This bid package is coming in considerably less than what we anticipated.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So if we're saving,
So we
let's say
got the
10,000.
money in there to, you know, and Jeff and I did have a conversation on that. You know, the sidewalks, we can do as many as we can, and we can.
So I think that solves both purposes.
We know the sidewalks are gonna be done. And, you know, last year we started that, this year we're gonna take another chunk of them, and it's just 3 or 4 sidewalks in town that are really the issue. And it's the one that Pat's talking about, Dave mentioned Fairfield Street, this is another one, and Fairfield Street, what's that? Water Street, that's the one we're tackling first, from Haymarket Square all the way up through to the post office on that side. It's a $20,000 project just to do that run on that side, because it's all handwork. And when you end up doing handwork, it's $135 a ton and not $70 a ton, because you've actually got guys out there, and it's a lot more expensive. So it's more money for the pavement, to get the sidewalks.
I think we should, I think my priority would be the sidewalks over paving the parking lot that's on the outside of this town. If we can allocate it, use it at the end of the year, if everything else has been taken care of, I'm good with that.
No?
So my question is, if the paving bid has come in way under what we put in the budget for paving, why do we need to take the money out of fund equity? Why can't we just?
Because that was just a separate project, Bob. I mean, I didn't want to go and interrupt this. This was just a separate project that we had going on. You know, I mean, we certainly can do that. We don't have an issue doing it. I really would like to see that paved up there.
Well, I agree, and I think we will always, and our grandchildren will always be putting money every year into paving and sidewalks. And this is one small piece of something that will be another flower in Oakland's garden of, I've lost my simile. It will be one more small project that adds to the look that makes Oakland
The quality of life.
And for $7,500, I think you can take it out of your regular paving account, since your bid's coming way in, not touch the fund equity. That would be my suggestion.
I think one thing that's in the sidewalks, Pat, that public works crew can only do so much, where this is all gravel in, and it's, the contractor can go there and put the hot top down without a lot of Jeff's crew, where rebuilding the sidewalk, we haven't got a road project this year, but we got sidewalk projects to rebuild, and it's only so much crew time to do that.
I won't be upset if you don't do the sidewalk here. I won't bang my spoon in my high chair, because we can't do everything at once. And, you know, if you don't know there's a problem, then we can't address it. And it does sound like a lot more work putting in a sidewalk than it is laying down a base coat and then a finish coat, you know, for a parking lot. And then erosion-wise, I mean, that's a great argument for doing the project, because if we put that much money in building a parking lot, then it washes away. We've lost everything.
Well, we have private organizations that have donated, the Rotary, Sunrise Rotary and Waterville donated a lot of money for this project too, you know, on this community garden. And I think that if we make it look good, people are going to use it. You know, this is something new for us. And, you know, Bangor has 32 parks. Oakland's got 2, we're gonna have 3. And it all contributes to the attractiveness of the community. And, you know, this is how you get, I know people get real questionable about growth and stuff, but when we're attracting businesses that bring families in with it, this adds to the package. You know, people like good-looking things, and, you know, this is what it's all about.
Question, that, you are gonna have gardens up there?
Yep. There's gonna be a community garden.
When you say community, this
there's gonna
community
be-
or other communities?
No, this community. It's gonna be Oakland residents.
So the only part that's gonna be
But,
open to
and yes, like I
anybody is
said,
the
Ed,
overflow.
when you mentioned that, I thought you meant as far as somebody, there's gonna be picnic tables up there with the roofs over the top of them. So if somebody wants to go up there and have lunch like they do at Pleasant Point, I mean, at the, you know, they can sit out there, you look at Sugarloaf and all the mountain range up there. But the gardens are actually going to be for Oakland residents. And what's gonna be nice about this project is you're gonna be able to, for $10, have a garden spot. We're gonna provide the seeds for you. And we're gonna provide somebody who knows how to grow a garden to help give you some advice if you need that. And so it's kind of an interesting concept, and so we'll see how it flies.
I got a little piece of land down on Fairfield Street you could do that for any day you want to help. It was hot out there today.
Probably give you some free seed. What, this piece of property that's up there, how much land do we own?
2.5 acres.
It's just 2.5 acres?
2.2 acres, I believe. And there's a well up there. We got one of those crank
Yep.
tops for it. We've actually run a water line where we're gonna have gravity feed. We're gonna stone that all in, so, because you're gonna need water for the gardens.
Sure.
And they're gonna go up and give it a couple of pumps, and that'll run the water up there. They'll be able to water their gardens, and, we talked about digging a pond, but we're not gonna do that, because that just...
Not 2.5 acres, no problem, I wouldn't. But the other problem that well, I say problem, just something you might want to be aware of, is the animals that are going to be running around through there.
Yeah, well,
The feeding spot.
yeah, we talked about that. And I've had a garden now for the past quite a few years, and I use fishing line. And they put posts up, and you take 30-pound test line with a deer, they touch that, and they can't see it, and they won't jump over the top of it. It's actually the best repellent for deer in the garden that I've ever seen.
Yeah, they can actually lay chicken wire flat on the ground too, because they don't like that between their toes. They
Yeah.
stay away from your garden that way.
Yeah, so we're gonna come up with some ways to keep that. I mean, you know, it's gonna be trial and error first year.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's just that I thought there was more land up there than that. I thought there was-
Any other discussion?
No, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, I just know that this street right here on Fairfield Street, there's a lot of foot traffic, sidewalks bad. We talk about bringing people into our community, but the people that live here need accessibility that's safe, meaning safe walking patterns and stuff. I think that's what my priority is.
I think we're gonna probably be able to get everything done, Dave.
That would be awesome if it's addressed.
We have a motion, no?
I move that we authorize the paving of that area. We take the monies out of the existing paving budget.
Okay.
We have a second.
If we do that, we're gonna cut into the sidewalk paving. And that's, you know, I mean, that was one of the things that Jeff and I talked about. We got an underage, and we're hoping to get as much paving on sidewalks as possible. That's why I want to just pull this out of fund equity. If this is the way you want to go, I'm good.
I second the motion, and I would say that if that causes us to not be able to do a piece of sidewalk, remembering that the bid came in, what, $25,000 short?
$27,000.
$27,000 short. If at some point we realize that we're going to be $7,500 short, then we can take it out of fund equity to fill the hole in the sidewalk,
Okay.
literally and figuratively.
Come back to us. Any other discussion?
Does that, just thought process, does that affect the tonnage rate though, if we wait and add it on at the end? Does that go up to something?
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to lock in on this price here, and that's how many tons we're locking in on. So, yeah,
So
anything
anything
goes
extra-
up, we're gonna have to go and increase the price. It's
Anything
gonna be
extra
more money.
More. We're gonna get less for more.
All those in favor of Don's motion? Opposed?
Did you say yes, they were?
I said yes.
You said yes.
Okay.
Number 10, COVID policy changes.
Okay, I've sent a copy of that out to you. Really, the changes are kind of minute. The last couple of bullet points, basically this brings us up to speed with what the new policy is going to be as of May 24th. Vaccinated employees may work, may is the key word, without wearing a mask. Non-vaccinated employees shall wear a mask when in the presence of public, co-workers, and while working indoors or traveling in a vehicle. There's no need for masking outdoors. All members of the public shall follow current guidelines or guidance regarding masking in public from the Maine CDC when entering any town facility. I don't want to be the vaccination police. I don't want to deal with that. It's going to be word-borne. We've got barriers up between our staff members and the customers coming in, and like all of us have said, going back and forth, it's just a lot simpler following the guidelines that are given to us. It's easier to defend. In some towns that are requiring everybody to mask regardless of what the governor's guidance is, but it's just going to create a battle if we do that. So
I had a couple of very minor comments on the third page on the close contacts tested for COVID and return to work stuff.
okay, yeah, okay. Which section, Dana?
On the B,
On the B. Okay.
on the second line, I would put in there, some minor suggestion, a vaccinated employee can return to work with supervisor approval. I guess, and I was going to add supervisor to 2 or 3 of the other paragraphs here, that somebody, they got to go to their supervisor and tell them the conditions so that more than one person knows what's going on there.
Right.
Because my opinion of whether I should come back to work might be different than yours.
Gotcha.
And up in A, under the very last line, right before CDC, I would report to work until the supervisor determines the CDC recommendations for ending are approved or whatever. See the last line under A?
So the employee will remain at home and will not be allowed to report to work until CDC recommendations for ended COVID isolation or quarantine. So what do you want to add in?
I would just put until the supervisor determines that the CDC recommendations for ending the isolation have, I mean, these are pretty minor, but I just think the employee ought to know that he's got to go to the supervisor to, you know, get anything approved and he's coming back to work or whatever they're doing.
Right.
Pretty minor suggestion.
And that happens, by the way. So
I know, it's gonna
the
happen.
supervisors are always contacted if something like
Right.
that, but I will add that in.
And under E, same thing. Under there where it says, except when vaccinated, and I put and approved by supervisor. I mean, you know, the employee just doesn't come back to work on his own, he
No.
be approved by the
It doesn't
supervisor.
happen anyways. If they've been
So, I mean,
involved with the doctor, they have to have a doctor.
Pretty minor suggestions.
Yep, we'll get that done.
Gary, can I just, under A, what you were talking about, says the employee will remain at home. Is that kind of strict? Because if it's in the EMS setting,
They don't have to remain at home. And I think what I meant by that is they're not coming to work. I don't care if they remain.
right, you
sheds
remain
or-
out of work, because
Right.
if I can't go to work in my EMS job, because EMS requirements are much more stringent, that doesn't mean I can't be out in
No,
public.
I agree. And I just put that home was just a blanket term.
Yeah, no, I know somebody would catch that.
Okay. I can change that too. All right, I'll take her on that. Anything else?
Minor changes.
So I'm gonna make these changes, and I'll do as I've done in the past, just send it out for you guys to take a look at it. If that's the case, we'll take it as effect. I'm having a department head meeting on next Wednesday, and I'll want to present this to them, so I'll have it completed by then.
I think we're ready for the manager's report.
Okay, can I get a motion and a second on accepting these
Okay.
changes?
We have a motion on accepting the new COVID
So
change.
moved.
Been seconded by Dave, all those in favor?
Thank you. Manager's report, monthly library report, you've got a copy of that. I've been giving you copies, we haven't really been talking about it in the council chambers. Essex Hydro, on this town office project, they're donating a little piece of land. I've given you a map right there, you can see where it is. That land that they're donating is basically the back of the current town office. Parking spaces are on Essex Hydros, we don't own that. So when this new design comes into place, if it passes, those parking lots are gonna be moved up into the property a little bit further, but on the back side of the town office, the KMD side, we're gonna be encroaching in the 15-foot setback zone. And so instead of going to the appeals board and try to get a variance for that, I talked with Andrew Locke, the president of the company. They donated acre of land here for this project and asked me if he'd like to work with us again. So they're gonna donate that. It's kind of in the blue. You can see that sliver in the blue right there. That's the piece that they're gonna
It's
donate.
actually pink on our copy.
Oh, yeah, I'm colorblind. Purple, pink, red, whatever, but. Magenta, okay.
Magenta, that's
That
good.
works. Yeah, so, I mean, they've been unbelievable
Yeah.
to deal with. And, you know, and when we look good, they look good, and this is what Andrew said. And,
Yeah, we wouldn't have been able to have this building here without them
no, not at all.
donating.
You know, it's funny because we've got a lot of interest in the town of Oakland. And we've got this very large company who's interested in Oakland. And we brought them here and we met with them. And we've signed all kinds of confidentiality agreements not to talk about who they are. And when we're sitting here, we're talking about the tax rate. And this is the big reason why they come into Oakland if they come. You know, I told them, I said, you're sitting in a brand new fire station, the paint hasn't even dried on it. I said, we've built a new town, the police department. I said, you know, we're looking at a new town hall for this. I said, Oakland is starting to change. And the guy said, that's part of the reason why we're here. So this really does impact businesses, and it impacts people coming into a region. And this is the reason why we've been able to keep our mill rates low, is because we're experiencing growth. And so it's, you know, and when you have companies like Essex Hydro, who's jumping on board to donate personal property or land, real estate, to make these things happen, it means we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, the $10 cheaper that we are on mill rate would make quite a difference in the valuation,
Oh, yeah.
the taxes on
Tens and tens of
hyper
thousands of
stations.
dollars a year for some of these companies.
And they have
That's the
two-
reason why FW Web came over here.
They have two of them here in town, so. No,
Just looking at the property and the pink, magenta colors, whatever, it's a very narrow, thin, triangular piece.
1,200 square feet.
There's a little bit below that, that's dotted, that borders the Cascade Road.
I don't know, yeah, that's Boyd's site plan, and it might be the 15-foot setback, that, I don't have a copy of that drawing.
Yeah, it's just, the pink goes up the Cascade Road, and then all of a sudden, there's another little triangle
Okay.
on the Cascade
Yeah,
Road.
so that's the 15-foot setback that we're encroaching. And what they're doing is they're gonna give us enough land so that we can afford, oh, no, that's a grading, that's the grading for the road.
So we're gonna own up to the road.
Yeah, we're gonna own up to the road.
On,
So all parking spots are gonna be in the town of Oakland from this point forward.
it almost looked like there was a little piece of property there that was not included.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. That's a grading scheme. That's what that is. That's gonna be grass. That's lawn.
But in actuality, we're gonna own up to the road and,
And it's not gonna have to get in variances
Yep.
to do it. And the proposed building's about between 2,000 and 2,500 square feet larger than what we currently have. And, you know, it's 2 floors, 3 floors squeezed into 2, because we got about 7,800 square feet over there in that current facility. And the big changes in this building compared to our other one is, one is we've got our council chambers back over there. And the other thing is we've got a much larger lobby. I mean, in the summertime, before COVID, we were putting 15 people in there some days, and it's not safe. COVID, 2 and 3 people, we've had people outside all winter long, you know, waiting to get inside. And it's just, it's needed.
do you have anything else?
Yeah, one more item. Summit Gas is installing natural gas in Oakland again. They're coming in from Waterville on KMD. They're gonna run it all the way up to First Blood Bought Church, and they're going down into First Park. and they're running it all the way into T-Mobile. They're running it all the way down Technology Drive, and so that's happening in June. We're planning on paving, starting the paving project in June, but now we're going to wait till they're done before we end up paving all that. And so we're going to have natural gas up on K&D, which we don't have that.
So where are they gonna put the reducing station? Right up near?
Well, they're coming in from Waterville, so I don't know if they're gonna put that in Waterville or not, but I don't know of any plans that they're gonna put it in Oakland. But it is gonna be a distribution line. It's not gonna be the big line that we got here, so they're gonna be able to go on.
Because they do have distribution out near the freeway in Waterville, right?
Right.
I don't know, if it comes under the freeway or just to
No,
it?
they're coming that way from
Oh,
there.
coming that way, so they're already coming off that reduction station?
Yep, yep. And the main project was to get down in the first part.
Yeah.
Because T-Mobile's interested in them. But I mean, we're going to feed any of the business down there. Plus, it's a huge calling card for any potential businesses that are going to go up in there.
All right.
And I'd like to see them come to where the bar is up there. You know, to get them down that far, but for some reason they don't want to go down that far. We have been talking to them personally.
Is that going to affect the paving project? Because I know when they did the other lines, there was a lot of patchwork paving and stuff like that.
Well, so we've really have been involved in a lot of discussion on that, and because some places they did a horrible job with compaction. And so what we've talked about is we're going to either have Boyd be involved in this, we're going to require, we've already had these discussions with them about them doing compaction rates, just like they did here. I mean, this is sitting on sand, and but we did the appropriate compaction rates, and we've got no movement on it. So that's going to be part of the equation. Because we don't want to go in there and put $250,000 worth of pavement just to have it do this business, you know. So we're gonna try to keep them in the ditch as much as possible as well. KMD is going to be no different. State road, but we still need to go and pay attention to them. We're not cutting into existing hot top except for on KMD. Down there it's going to be covered up, and we don't even know what happened. And who knows when the state's going to pay that. We can't even get them to pave Main Street. That's the worst road we got in town right now.
And if any new buildings come into First Park, they can drill under the road rather than dig up the hot top for that line too.
Yeah.
In the future, you know, after you get it hot top.
Can I, one question?
Yep.
I couldn't hear part of what you were saying there, but my question is probably something you just answered. Do we know what the roads, if any, the state is going to pave in town this year? Like Main Street is the state.
They're paving all of Fairfield Street. They're coming up through Fairfield Street.
They're going to rebuild it at all or just pave it?
I can't answer that. They're coming in, they're doing Belgrade Road again, coming up to the bridge, they're stopping at the bridge. They're doing Fairfield Street right to the intersection. That's why they went in and they did some work here last year. They did some ditching all the way out through there by your house,
right.
And but they are coming in to pave it.
Okay. Main Streets, Church Street?
Main Street, they're not touching it, and they're not touching Church Street.
I'm going to leave Fairfield Street alone and do that.
I want to do Main Street. I mean, that's the worst road we got in town right now.
I know that. And
You
then
know,
the other thing,
it's tough on motorcycles, it's dangerous,
Yeah.
just, I don't like any part of it, but.
the other hazard is back up there at Buddy's store. Is if you take a pickup truck with an 8-foot bed and a crew cab on it, you got to actually come to a complete stop, which I had to do the other day because it's sticking out in the traffic. Why can't they have parallel parking along that part? They can get three places in there. They can use that for handicap parking. He's got a big parking lot up to the side now. Somebody should be talking to them. I know the other guy.
We have talked to them, and they are expanding their parking lot out back. And, you know, there's a chance we're going to get them to eliminate that angle parking in there.
It certainly would be good.
But the state wants us to eliminate all the angle parking on Main Street, and I'm not for it, because if we do that, we're going to kill the parking for downtown. You know, I worked 15 years as a police officer, handled all kinds of accidents all around town. And you know something? I never handled an accident on Main Street other than in the parking lot of the restaurant, Early Board. People pay attention. You may have to come to a stop because somebody's sticking out there, but you're paying attention to it. And people, you know, we just don't have accidents on Main Street.
Well, maybe you don't, but still, that's the hazard, that's the problem, and it's just an inconvenience for a lot of people. I'm not the only one that has to do
No,
that.
but we've talked to them, and, you know, there's a chance we're gonna get rid of that angle parking, if you've got enough parking out there. A lot of people use it, that's the first place they pull in there.
I know that, it's
You
easy.
know, that's, when I go to Buddy's almost every day, and that's where I pull in. Because it's quick, it's easier, get out, go in and get my stuff, get in the car and leave. But I don't want to set precedents, because I don't want to lose that angle parking on the other side of the road. Because if I lose the parking on the other side of the road, we might as well kiss Main Street goodbye, it'd be just like over in Fairfield. Fairfield has nothing on Main Street because the state came in and put that extra road and it goes across bridges. And I want to be careful with that, because they want me to eliminate angle parking. And I've had DOT up here, and we got into an argument on Main Street over that. And I told them, I says, I don't want to do this. There's no accidents up here. If you wanted the accidents, go see the restaurant. That's where the parking lot accidents are. But I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and we are working with that, so.
I don't think I'd lose that much. I'd rather get it in that 4 or 5.
I want to be, I'm very pro-business. And I want to be very careful how I get perceived on this stuff, because if I take away parking from these people, I mean, you might as well just put another nail in their tire. You know, and I'm not willing to do that, but I know what you're saying.
Dave, you got anything?
I got 2 items. Oh, go ahead.
Just on Main Street, we have 39th Street parking, 39 spaces parking on Main Street. There is one handicap spot that's not marked, it just has a little bit of paint on the parking space. There's a handicapped access ramp, and there's been a vehicle parking in it for like 3 days. It's not marked, so people don't know. And, you know, Main Street parking's tough on Main Street, but, you know, it's gotta be something better. I mean, parallel parking, I didn't even think the angle parking was an issue. But, you know, it seems, it's kind of poorly laid out when we look at plans to redo Main Street. Because there's no warning for people stepping out on the crosswalks, because, you know, the crosswalks are just right flush with the parking spaces. So there's, you know, there's a lot of consideration to be done. I know we've got a lot of growth going, but when people come into Main Street and kind of look, you see somebody parked up on that extra curb by Buddy's, so they've got like 6 feet of vehicle in the road. You know, there's a lot to look at.
Well, we are going to be doing a downtown plan. Okay, it's part of the whole TIP thing. And these are all things that I'm sure that we're going to be looking at, including an additional parking lot somehow. Because if we want anything to happen, we need parking. Thank you.
Go ahead, Bob.
The parking on Main Street has been a problem since forever. And the reason you've not seen any accidents lately at Main Street is because they angled the parking slots, the angled parking, enough so that people can't come this way from the circle out here and make a U-turn into a parking space. It's almost impossible if there's other cars there, because back in the day, there would be a lot of accidents because it wasn't such an angle, and it was easy enough to come from the fire station area here down Main Street and take a left into one of those parking spots. And invariably, every month, somebody would be backing out while some idiot was trying to sneak around behind him, and there'd be all kinds of accidents. And the thing with Buddy's, that's been a problem forever, and it is bad, and it is something we need to address when we begin to look at downtown, because I think we may have talked about it in years past, and whoever the owner, it probably was Bud King, whoever owned the building at that time, didn't want anybody to touch those parking spaces. So you've got to give them an alternative. And that's something that will be part of the grand plan.
And Dave Savage is actually, our code enforcement officer, is actually open dialogue with Shane about that, and he's receptive to it. I mean, he understands that one spot out there, people hang out in that. I used to burn me when I was in a cruiser, and I'm sure it did Dave too. And, but you go in and try to find them, it's usually a senior citizen who's in their 70s or 80s, and it's hard to go and give them a hard time, and so I think eliminating them is not a bad idea, as long as I don't do it, and get into a situation with DOT saying, great, let's do the other side now.
I think it's fair to say we'll be working on it.
Dave, you got anything?
So my first one is a question to the town manager. We were drilling here this weekend, and we dumped, I don't know, 2,000 gallons of water out of the back of a truck. Is this drainage complete out here, or is there?
No, that's gonna be complete by the end of the summer.
Okay.
Yeah, that wet pond? that's-
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
didn't look right to me.
No, Boyd and I have been talking about it, it's just the time issue, getting it all done.
Okay. My next one, I'm not posing this in the form of a motion, just a topic of discussion for down the road. I've mentioned it to Gary in the past. We had 35 people show up to the town meeting this year. What do we have to do to change the way we do this?
You have to put together a charter commission, and you have to change the town charter to do that. And
All I'm asking is for the council members to think about it, see if this is something we want to venture into, is to do away with the town meeting. If you historically look, it goes to the town meeting, everything passes with very little discussion, because either they, one, trust what we're doing, or they can't get enough ambition to come to the town meeting and object to what we're doing.
Can I just say something to that, Dave?
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that a lot, but my personal opinion is a town meeting keeps our property taxes down. And I'll tell you what, it works for me. I don't care if 5 people show up at that town meeting. I know that I have the possibility of 200 people showing up there if they don't like what they're hearing. If you look at the towns that don't have town meetings, their taxes are right through the roof, because you've got 5 people or 7 people making a decision for the entire town. I mean, this is the purest form of democracy, when you have a town meeting. And I really have, personally, I don't mind it. I mean, I get stressed out, but I don't mind it, because it gives me a chance to get up in front of people and tell them what we're doing. And if I didn't have that town meeting, I'd be answering those questions individually, or have people climbing up to one side of me and down the other, because I think I've lost my mind. So that's my personal take on that. I really think the town meeting brings more value to these communities than what people give them credit. And you're right, people do trust what's happening. We're keeping our taxes flat. They aren't upset about their property taxes. We're doing things right. If I start screwing up, you're gonna start seeing people at those town meetings. But I hear what you're saying.
So, no, I just wanted to make sure, I mean, I mentioned it, it's a point of discussion, we'll bring it up.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And you know, this has been a discussion that I've had with several people. And I can't disagree. It's disheartening not to see the people show up there. But the bottom line is, they don't have an issue with what's going on. I mean, I see Kelly had it on her Facebook, putting it out there about, 35 people here at town meeting, what's going on. You read those comments on that, and most of them are working, or I trust what's going on. Nothing bad is happening.
Right.
And that's a good indicator.
No?
Just to carry that conversation a little bit further, I strongly agree with the town manager that if we did things poorly, if the council was doing things, raising taxes, firing the police chief, getting rid of the fire chief, or something, if anything that's out of the ordinary, or increase in taxes, you'd have more than 5 people at the town meeting. You'd have a ton of them. The change that we might look at making it right now are the date and the time for our meeting is set by charter, I believe.
Contract.
At least the date is. But there are other communities who have their meeting on like Saturday afternoon. Sydney, I know, I've been to Sydney's, and Sydney usually they put in a couple hundred people into a meeting, and that's something that I'd consider looking at, but not doing away with it, because it is the last best chance for people to come and talk and see you one-on-one, as opposed to everything being done by remotely, where you go and vote on the budget, and and you really, nobody has explained the budget to you. I mean, if you stay home, nobody's explained it to you, but at least you have the chance to know. So for all those reasons, I'm not inclined to agree with doing away with it, but I'd be willing to look at how we manage it, when we do it.
No?
I have nothing else.
I don't have anything. Kelly, anything? Pat, anything else?
Said my kids.
Yeah, a couple things. One, I'm not going to keep you all night because I got a bunch of things here, but one thing is the transfer station. Did we do a job study on that to hire the 2 people?
Do we do a job study on it?
Yeah, to see if it's needed.
No, what we're doing is replacing a full-time position that we lost back in 2017.
Okay. The other thing over there is there's no taking a metal out of there anymore. A lot of people have cracks and different things like that. I can understand the junker coming in there and not wanting a junker to come in there and felt out a pickup truck. There are little items here and there. I don't see what the town with that hurting that much. If we need that scrap metal money, where the other thing is too.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So you're talking about somebody being able to go into the scrap metal pile and take scrap metal out of there?
Not scrap metal. Well, when they put it there, it's brought in. Like
Right.
I've got pictures here of some very usable items that people can't take it anymore, and they're just going to go. You're going to take like a $200 item. You're going to put it in there, and you're going to get maybe $1.50 out of scrap metal prices. It doesn't make any sense. The other thing is with that same thing, that the gas cans that are brought in there, the LP gas, right? We charge $3 to drop them off, and we have to pay $2, they told me, to get rid of it. Why can't you just let people have them things and they can take them and exchange them for a full tank and save a tank of gas, right? Save a tank. And just recycling and reusing, we're not doing. You might as well just dump everything right off in the trash up there and forget about recycling, separating trash and anything else. And to put another person on there, and if we're not going to go to mandatory recycling, we should have somebody up there doing it for them. Taking the cardboard out, putting that where it goes, the metal out of there, put that where it goes, and so on and so forth. The place is a gold mine if it's run right. If you can't run it right, I suggest you put it in the hands of a private enterprise and let them make the money. There's a lot going on up there that I don't know if anybody even realizes, but there's a lot up there.
When I learned that if somebody drops off metal, that the town can turn into revenue, okay, and somebody else comes in and takes that metal out of there, regardless of a $200 item anyways, and they benefit individually from that, then we're actually breaking the law. You and I had that discussion on that. And I'm trying, if we put together a panel and discuss this and came up with an ordinance or change the ordinance so we can do that, then that's a whole different whack. But right now, as it stands, it's misusing taxpayer funds because it benefits one person instead of the entire community. So regardless, if we only get $1.50 for that piece of scrap iron, if an individual comes in and takes that, and then he can turn around and make $150 out of it, it benefits one person.
So be it. At least it's not going into the ground. It's not in my mind. I think you're missing my point, but that's okay. What people do. But what I'm saying is up there is that I'm not going to get into all this, but it's not being run right. It really isn't. Now, the state says you can't do that. I kind of find that hard to believe, but being the state the way they are, I suppose it's possible. You got tires up there that people drop off. They don't want them anymore. They change their cars and the tire doesn't fit. Let people have them things. Why destroy them and nobody gets any benefit out of it? Let the people have it. I've dropped off, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars, probably into the thousands of stuff over to Goodwill and Hospice. And what's it, the name of the ones that does the big buildings and stuff like that. Contractors dump brand new stuff. Why bury it out back? It doesn't make a bit of sense to me.
Well, we don't bury tires.
We're a rich nation, evidently. I mean, beyond.
We don't bury tires out back.
No, I know that, but you destroy them somewhere. You sell them back. You pay for them to get rid of them. They charge to come in, and then you pay. I think we make $1 a tire, right?
Yeah, I actually don't think we're paying for them. I think we get to send so many for free to a certain location. I mean, like when we're running up there at the place where we're selling this stuff, we could put so many tires in a load, and that's how we would get rid of them. And right now, since that location is shut down, I'm not sure where, those probably are going up the orange block right now.
But they're going and be ground and used for fuel up the Sapping.
Some of them,
Yeah,
probably, I know they're licensed to do it, they don't like to burn them because
Yeah,
the wire
I know.
gets on the.
But a few years ago, you know, there was some wood from the woodsmiths down there, would go over there, and the guys got in a fight there over the wood, you know, because you wanted a piece of wood, and I wanted a piece of wood, and they got a big fight there one day about it, and that's what happens with the, you know, when you let people in, and we also got a liability if they're in that waste metal place, scratching around and doing something, and they get hurt. I mean, that's on the town.
That's at your own risk when you go in there anyway, but.
That's not their own risk, that's on us if they get hurt.
Well, that's the same thing as walking on the sidewalk, I suppose.
Right.
And if you get in a fight with parking spots, I mean, people as far as that goes, but hey, you know what, I don't have that much longer to go on the planet anyway, so it's, whatever, but I just think it's wrong that you're doing what they're doing. To bury that stuff, absolutely no reason, people out there can use it.
Yeah.
So be it, you guys run the town, go ahead.
John, you have anything?
Yeah, I just had a comment. One of my best friends lives in Winslow, and they do not have an open meeting, and he hates it, because he says there's absolutely no control over what that council does. We got nothing to say, and they're making all the decisions. A lot of townspeople are not happy with it.
Yeah.
What's going on over there?
The problem I have with that is people, they go and vote, like, you know, just, they vote on the articles or the spending, and you can go and vote without understanding what it's about. Up here, you at least gotta listen to what the plan is why you're spending that money. Somebody's made a plan of why you're spending each of those articles and what they're for. And you, before you vote, you at least gotta listen to somebody explain it to you. Or if you go into a voting booth and vote on it, you don't have to have it explained, you don't have to go to the public meetings they have to listen to what the plan is. And I just think that's, it would be bad to do away with it, because to vote, you've got to at least listen to somebody explain what they're planning to do with that money.
You don't have to have a quorum for a town meeting?
We don't know.
Not ours.
Like the governor's last.
Some towns do.
Some towns do, it's in their charter, and some towns they have to have a
We
quorum.
don't. We don't have that.
Anything else?
Yeah, no, we didn't.
Dave?
No, I'm good, sir. If everybody's all set, I make the motion to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor? Thank you.
Gary?
Oh, yeah.